All right, so here's the example of the shoulder injury recovery times. Again, 1 happened 5 times, 2 happened 8. So what this data set would look like if we expanded it all out, we would have 5 ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 twos, and then we would keep going like so. So what this has done is that it's taken these 60 data points and condensed them into a nice table like what we had with our histograms. So we have the frequency at which they occur. Now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and multiply every X value by its weight and then add all those products together and divide by 60. So the way we had done weighted averages previously would be y equals, and then you took this first value, we multiplied it by the second value, then we added this value times this value, and we kept going through and we multiplied each value by its own weight. Well, I've had time to explore, and they have the average weighted. Now this little question mark will just go ahead and clarify what they want. And what's kind of cool about the average command in Google Sheets is that it wants the value and its weight, and you're going to break it up by comma, by a comma. This example here is saying to go A1 to A10, comma, B1 to B10. But I'm not quite sure what this 5 and this 0.5 is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it this way first, see what I get for an answer, and then I'm going to try it a different way and see if I get the same answer, and then we'll know if it works out. So this weighted average, it's claiming that if I take a value and then hit comma, then the other value, you can see already up here, it's saying my weighted average would be 1, because 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 divided by 5 is 1. And then I'll do comma 2, comma 8. My average just increased because I added those 2's in there. Comma 3, comma 12. And I'm just going to keep going through and clicking on all my values, putting a comma between everything. And then after I get that, I hit enter, and it's saying 3.81, which makes sense because 3 and 4 had the largest frequency. So this is closer to 4 than it is to 3, but at least my answer is making sense. All right, let's see if we can speed this up. So I'm going to go to the average weighted, and I'm going to take these values, comma, these values, and let's see what happens. I get the same answer. So 2 different ways to do the weighted averages. You can either click them individually to make sure that they all correspond with the correct value, or if you feel confident that everything's lined up and you plugged it in correctly, you can simply click and highlight. I'll go up to the formula here, then comma, click and highlight. Completely your choice. I recommend this one, but that was just the 2 ways that Google Sheets had recommended that we do it. Just looking in the chat, nothing yet. All right, so with this one here, this was an example of the expected amount of time to wait in line at a grocery store. So they're trying to figure out, do you need to have more people at the registers or not? Target used to be very good about this. They claim that you never have to wait more than, it was like 5 minutes. And if it was ever longer than that, then they would immediately bring another cashier out. Then they started with their self-checkout, and then they started to get rid of that policy. So here, this class was 0 to 2. So having to wait no time, so you just walk up and start cashing out, all the way up to 2 minutes happened 4 times. And then between 3 and 5 minutes, that happened 3 times. Between 6 and 8 minutes, that happened 8 times. Between 9 and 11 minutes, that happened 15 times. Between 12 and 14 minutes, that happened 13 times. 15 to 17 minutes happened 5 times. And lastly, 18 to 20 minutes. 2 times. So just looking at these frequencies, I would say that we should expect to wait between 9 and 14 minutes. And so I'm going to go ahead and find the expected amount of time that I would want to wait. So we'll go back to the average weighted, and I like just highlighting. So I can't do a range, so I have to use the midpoint. So we'll do G3 to G9, comma, H3 to H9. So we should expect at this grocery store to wait 10 minutes in line. That's the expected number according to this data set. Now, what the formula is doing, and I don't think I mentioned this, is that since they know it's a weighted average, something that they're doing that we haven't had to do is that they are adding these values up and dividing by them. So the fact that they have this command of average weighted, they already know that they're going to have to figure out the total weights and divide this by that. So we get a little shortcut. We don't have to worry about it, but they do. So that would be the expected amount of time to wait in line at the grocery store. Now, the only thing that I had not put in is the standard deviation of the weighted average. And that will require possibly building a formula. But to be honest with you, I completely forgot to look into that. I was so focused on doing the mean, I completely forgot about the standard deviation. Oops, that's all right.